On today's episode, a job site radio that has apparently called in sick quite a bit. What's up, nerds? Yeah, it's been quite a while since the last video. I mean, summertime is my job's busy time of the year, so I really don't have that much time. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but there's just not a lot of like good stuff in the thrift stores anymore. Found this at an estate sale, and that's pretty much the only place nowadays to get decent old electronic equipment. I mean, I've seen things about thrift stores like Goodwill who take the decent name brand stuff and they just kind of keep it to the side and try and sell it on their online auction site. And you're left with brands like Sound Design and Kobe and, the big lots versions of electronics. I mean, just the bottom of the barrel. Anything like this, oh no, it's getting sold on their shopgoodwill.com or something like that. But anyway, I found this one at an estate sale yesterday. Being Sunday, it was half off. That's how most estate sales work around here. Saturday or Friday will be full price, and as each day goes by, they drop it a certain percentage. Yesterday was half off. They were asking 30 for it, so I actually got it for 15. This is a Dewalt Dw911 Jobsite radio. I don't know if this is one of their first generation job site radios, but it definitely is an older one. I don't know the exact date that it was made, but it's pretty old. I've had one of the later ones before. Years ago, I had a newer model than this, but same basic thing. You got this nice kind of metal composite cage material around it. It looks like it's water resilient. I'm not going to say waterproof, but all the compartments have like a little, gasket or water protection. I wouldn't throw water on these speakers. And in the back, the best thing about this, well, I'll show you the best / worst thing about this. It's also a rapid battery charger, and it will also run off the batteries that you recharged. But you can see one thing. Let me kind of zoom in right here. If you can see, hang on, and tilt down a little bit. And I'm trying to work my new tripod for my phone, and but you see all of this residue down here. It's not good. It's not just dirt. That's something burnt. And when you open the battery compartment up, it gets even worse. It's like a sooty residue, like perhaps the battery it was charging just kind of crapped the bed, and I don't know if it burnt, but something happened. So we're gonna have to check that. I mean, I don't know, it's kind of hard to see, but there are some, the terminals inside there for the battery to connect. We'll just shove a voltmeter in there, make sure it's not overcharging it. If it's an 18 volt, I think there's a this thing said it should be, from 9.6 to an 18. So it should detect the battery type and I guess regulate the output voltage. Maybe they used a bad battery or one of the, these knockoff batteries you can buy on eBay for like $12 and, you get what you pay for, and then this happens. But anyway, yeah, we have this to contend with. The good news is that as a radio, it works. I'm not going to say it's the best sounding thing in the world. But yeah, let me get the power plugged in and I'll give you a quick demonstration. All right, let me turn it on. You've got like 4 settings: off, AM, FM, and auxiliary. So we'll turn it on to, I think it's AM first.
The smart move is still ahead of you. If you've been drinking, just don't drive.
Yeah, AM sounds like AM. FM.
We're going to hear what our bosses said to that next.
Bobby Bone.
It's okay. And let me get to an auxiliary. I'll plug in my little portable CD player with some YouTube-friendly music that I had to download off their library because poor old Chumbawamba is getting flagged every time for a copyright strike. So put on auxiliary, fire it up, and let's see how it sounds. I mean, it works. Left and right side. Nothing's wrong. There's no static like the tuner. I mean, like the volume potentiometer may be dirty or anything. It's actually pretty decent. And, it's a job site radio. It's not meant to be this high fidelity thing. Oops, sorry about the bump there. But it's dirty. It needs a lot of cleaning. But pros, it works as a radio. It's also yellow, bright yellow, so you will never ever lose this. I like the cages because it looks like you could drop this, and I am very klutzy, so this would be really, really nice. The cons, well, there's a lot of scrubbing, cleaning, and painting going on. It sounds just okay. I mean, maybe we could put some better speakers in there. We'll see what happens with that. Also, the whole battery issue in the back. That's the main thing, really. Because I would love to use this as a battery charger because I have a whole bunch of the older style DeWalts, the 18 volts, and this would charge it, and it'd be a great shop radio. And it's always a good bonus to have a battery charger in the back. But then if you have that nice big battery in there, this will last quite a bit, especially if you're using, there's no CD, there's no spinning or moving parts or like a motor to drive. It's just the amplifier. So you're not really using that much power. And I can't imagine this thing is more than a few watts at the most. So clean it up, make sure the battery charger is working and it's not going to, eat up one of my batteries or melt this thing down. And also, as usual, we're going to put a Bluetooth adapter, I don't know, on the front, maybe on the inside, although it is thick as this plastic is, that might kind of hinder the signal. But we also have to power that. So it'd be locating like a 5 volt or a 12 volt source inside here off the board somewhere. Maybe, I'm sure there's a transformer in there. I don't want to directly run it off the 18 volts of the charger. I mean, I could put a little step down DC to DC transformer there. Maybe that might work. But yeah, to be able to get Bluetooth on this instead of having to lug around a little portable CD player, that would be awesome. So first things first, let's clean it up. Actually, I'm going to test the battery charger first, and then work on cleaning this up. You have to take off the grills, probably repaint all of this. Certainly scrub this up, hit this with like a whole stack of magic erasers and like Simple Green or something to get all this grime off. But other than that, it's in surprisingly good shape. Oh, except the antenna here. That's unfortunate. I have to find something to go on top of there to hide that. I don't really feel like paying like $50 aftermarket for a new antenna for this. It works just fine. I'm inside and it's pulling in a lot of the radio stations locally. So, and broadcast radio is pretty much garbage now. It's either talk radio or the same 8 songs over and over again, but it's still good to have it, I guess, for whatever reason. Who knows? But put a little something on there, a little tip or decorative thing. Who the hell knows? Shrink wrap. I mean, not shrink wrap. Heat shrink. We'll play it by ear. That's the least of my worries. Cleaning, restoring, checking the battery. That's it. Hang tight. Oh boy, I've got my multimeter plugged in and I am reading 48.6 volts. I don't think that's normal. It's going to cook those batteries. Unless it has an auto sensing thing. Maybe it does. I don't really know how that works. It should, to differentiate the 9-volt batteries, different voltage batteries that it claims to charge. So maybe that's normal. I don't think it is, and that would explain why there's so much burnt stuff here. I'll tear it apart. I got to take it apart anyway, and we'll examine the circuitry. I'll try and see if I can find a schematic or something for that, or find out if that is normal. I wouldn't even know where to begin to look for that, but I will look because it's going to take a while to clean this thing. I think I'm going to have to, all these little screws and stuff are really rusty. I don't know if I just should break down and try and find new replacement ones, or kind of refinish them, repaint them, and put them back. Who knows? But yeah, this is one of the main things of the radio I really liked, is that you could charge batteries and it would run off the very batteries you were charging. And at this high voltage, you're just gonna get them well done. So let's get to taking this thing apart and seeing what's wrong with it, if anything. The real easy way to check that is to take a known working battery charger that I already had and check the voltage. As you can see, it 1 hour charger, it'll do the 7.2 to 18 volts, which is exactly the same as this 1 hour charger. Well, 9.6 to 18 volts. Close enough. And I know this guy works. And look at that, 51.2 volts DC. So I guess this is correct in outputting at 45 volts. Maybe it's a little bit lower for reasons. I don't know, but that higher voltage, that apparently that's normal. I guess until you get the battery in there and it can sense what it is, and it'll like regulate itself. Yeah, so all right, charging mechanism. I'll try and verify it. I'll look online, see what I can find, but compared to a known working charger with almost the exact same specifications, the voltage is 6 volts difference. That's really not that much in the scheme of things there. Maybe, I don't know, but it doesn't cook my batteries with 51 volts, so at 45 we should be okay. So anyway, a little sigh of relief. Maybe they just had a really shitty battery. I mean, I know I have this, and I don't know, I have a whole bunch of different ones. I have like the 18 volt, like the XR, and the XR something else. It's like the really thick ones with the the really bulky battery packs. But I don't know. I have to find out what these are rated for. There's not a lot of room in there, so I'm assuming it's the old, just plain basic NiCads. And this one, well, it's old, so it's not going to hold as much of a charge as it would if it was full, just because of the way NiCads are. But it'll work. If anything, maybe we can rebuild it. That's the good thing about these guys. I've never done a rebuild on these, but it's a lot easier on these older packs than the new 20 volt ones that slide in. So that may be a video in the future if everything works with this one. So yeah, crisis somewhat averted. Anyway, let's get to tearing this guy down and cleaning it up. I'm dreading that one. I put my little battery pack in the receptacle for charging, plugged it in, turned it to one of the 3 functioning modes to activate the charger, and sure enough, it's charging. I might just keep it on to see if it fully charges and we get a solid red light, or we get smoke and fire. I have a fire extinguisher somewhere in the house, I hope. If not, out the window it goes. Hang tight and cross your fingers and toes. The battery finished charging, and it wasn't really an accurate test because I really don't know how much of a charge was on there before I put it in here. I really should run it down and then start again and time it. But once again, I don't know the condition of that battery as well. I mean, it could be half the cells are shot to hell. So I really would need a fresh battery to give it a good test. But anyway, the charging circuit works. We know that because it cut itself off. It went from blinking to indicate it's charging to pack charge, which was a solid light. So that's good. It didn't fry, didn't burn, and I turned on the radio just to start draining it. And while I was playing, I took the grill covers off. This one's not bad. It's just, scratchy and all. This has a whole bunch of surface rust, but it's just surface rust. It's not eating through the metal. So there's no chunks of it missing. So some sanding, put a coat of primer on both of these, sand them down, primer, and then black paint. Yeah, you'll never know. The speakers are in really good shape. I mean, for what they are and how old they are, I mean, they're just kind of cheapo, paper cone, what's that, 4-inch speakers maybe. Um, I'm not sure of the wattage, but I'm sure it's not over just a handful of watts that it can handle. But they sound decent. I mean, it's a job site radio. It's not this high fidelity speaker system. That being said, I'm going to try and upgrade these to maybe some 2-ways that have a little tweeter built in there, a little built-in crossover maybe. We'll see what happens. So yeah, that's not too bad. So, and also the antenna, it just unscrews. It's got this little screw-in adapter. Now I have this big guy here that I use for my little SDR radio that I have hooked up to my computer here. The screw size isn't a perfect match, but if you just set it in a hole, just a little bit, just touching, I get 10 times the reception. I mean, it just makes night and day difference. So maybe I can fabricate a DIY, antenna, something, simple. Find out, how to. I mean, it's just a coil in there. I mean, it's a length of wire. It's coiled up. I mean, I still might just put a heat shrink tubing tip on this if all else fails, but I don't know. We'll see what we can do. Anyway, this is working. I'm going to see how long it takes to drain a battery. And once again, it's not a fair test because the battery I have in here is about 10 years old. I'm sure half of the cells are shot to hell. So it's not going to be a true test of it. I need to either find a new old stock Dewalt battery like that, or a really high quality replacement, not a cheapo, Amazon or eBay one, a decent one, or rebuild it. I've never done that before. It doesn't look that difficult, but you need a little spot welder to get the tabs on the batteries. Unless they make a kit that already has the tabs on the batteries, that might be something to investigate. But anyway, she's working. She's sounding good. And we're just going to keep kind of cleaning it up while the radio's going. And you see here, it indicates a stereo broadcast, and it's true stereo. There is an oldie station around New Orleans, WTIX 94.3 FM. Shameless plug there, but I love the station. It's one of the few privately owned stations still left around here. They play a lot of 60s, 70s, and 80s music. Basically, it's the station owner's personal jukebox. I don't know how he stays financially afloat. Maybe he's independently wealthy. Who knows? But it's a great station. And if you want to know what it's like, watch Reservoir Dogs. The radio station that's featured in Reservoir Dogs, it's almost exactly like this little station out of New Orleans. It's great. So it's really the only FM station really anybody listens to around here if you want music. So and anyway, getting to the point, they played Bohemian Rhapsody and the operetta part where you have true stereo separation where Freddie Mercury will sing on one side, the rest of the band sings on the back, on the other side, the chorus. It was definitely stereo separated. So that works good too. So now we get to the cleaning, which I previously stated it's going to be nasty, but got to get done. I'm about halfway through cleaning, and it is rough. This definitely was a well-used job site radio. A lot of stains on here, paint that you can't get off, a lot of like overspray, clear coat, things like that. And you can see where the UV damage was done underneath. This is where a hinge was to hold this back there. I have that set off to the side to clean. This is where some of the knobs were. Pulled those off. This one doesn't come off, and I'm not going to force it off. I'm just going to clean around it. These came off relatively easily, but you can see the difference in color on the back here. You can see, you can't really see with this light, but there's a coloration. It's taking forever to get this back door cleaned up. I mean, it looks good now, but there are little pockets in the corners of whatever burned up here, just kind of settled and dried and caked. So I'm having to go through and scrape it with the tip of a little precision screwdriver. Same with these vents. You know, just hit it with some simple green or something like that. Get a paper towel, put it in there, and kind of force this to get it out. Oh, the cage is taken off. It's outside soaking in several coats of simple green to get the grime off. Yeah, right there. This is my cleaning regimen right here. Vinegar, IPA, simple green, and some of this Mr. Clean or Clean Freak. That works sometimes too. Not as strong as these guys. But yeah, it's getting there. It's just very dirty. So there's some more wood stain right there. Looks like a mahogany stain. Mahogany, red maple, one of those. Yeah, this is well used. In fact, I'm noticing some of the plastic is actually cracked on the side here. You can see this part here. This, when I was cleaning it, it just popped out. It did have some plastic damage, I guess, over the years. It just deteriorated. But all in all, $15. What do you expect? This is still kind of, like I said, I'd clean the heck out of this. I don't want to scratch it. You fight the urge to get like a Scotch-Brite pad and kind of go lightly over this. No, that'll scratch even more. I'd rather have a little grime on top than it'd be super hazy or scratched off even more. But yeah, it looks a lot better on camera than it does in person. So, like they say, if you squint, it's mint. So let me get back on this, and here's all the hardware. Some of like the bolts that hold the cage on, they're all soaking in vinegar to get the surface rust off. These held on the little feet underneath. Nice toothbrush. It's not just for teeth. Scrub away. And yep, let me get back to it. It ain't going to clean itself. Okay, I came to a stopping point on cleaning the outside. It still needs a little work. I mean, this is scrubbing as good as I can get it. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I removed the screws. There's 4 in the back and then 2 on each side that hold this front plate together. And I already unhooked the wire harness. This goes to the auxiliary input board. This goes to the amplifier board for the speakers. And here's the speakers themselves. They are 6 ohm, 3 to 5 watts. I don't recognize that logo, so if anybody knows what that is, let me know. I'm just curious. I tried measuring this, and they're about between 4 and 5 inches. I'm going to have to take them out, flip them over, and kind of measure them that way from base of the cone, just to get a rough idea. They sound good. I mean, I don't know if I should replace them. I'll see what I have, spare lying around from other projects. Who knows? It is a little dirty, but it's like powdery. It's not the baked on like corrosion looking stuff as it was on the inside of the charging unit. It's like a powder. Let me see if I can, it just comes off like that. So what I might do is just take each piece outside and hit it with my air compressor and just blast the hell out of it. The electronics, charging unit, everything else, it looks really, really good. There's no evidence that this burned up. I'm more inclined, as I see more in here, to believe that they just used a really crappy aftermarket battery and that just kind of shit the bed. So yeah, the inside's not horrible. Certainly not as worn as the outside, but like I said, they definitely use this as a job site radio. It did do its purpose. So I'm going to see. Oh, also I need to find out. I still need to find like schematics, or maybe just trace off the power supply board and things like that to see if I can pull maybe a 5-volt or a 12-volt rail somewhere on here for the Bluetooth unit, and let's see how easy that might be, or difficult, depending on how this is laid out. Anyway, I'm going to go outside, get this blasted, and come back in and continue scrubbing around it and get it about as clean as I can. Got it all cleaned out. Turns out 75 psi through a really small adapter fitting jet will blast the hell out of anything. And it just blew everything straight out. So it's a lot cleaner now. I was able to get all those old nooks and crannies way down in there, and also on that back door where they had some in the ledges, blew them straight to hell. They're gone. This is nice. I tried just hitting some parts of the side with it, but it didn't do any good. But it was able to get all that corrosion and powdery stuff out of it. So she's cleaned up, I think, as good as it's going to get. Let's see what else we found out. Oh, I did get a power reading on these. This is coming in. This is the radio. This is the power coming to it. And ironically, this is your ground, the red. It must have wired this in on a Friday. So red your ground, and from right to left, you got 9.5 volts DC, 9.5 volts DC, 14.5 DC, and another 14.5 volts DC. So what I will probably do is tap into one of the 14.5s. I have these little, DC to DC transformer boards that I've been using in all my projects to get like from 12 volts or 24 down to 5 to power like Raspberry Pis and things like that. I bought a whole bunch of them from Amazon. I'll throw the link in the bottom if I remember. They're great. They're inexpensive and they work like a champ, and they're fully adjustable. I think you can input, up to 48 volts DC, and it'll transform it down to like 2. So yeah, they're good to go. Just mount it down here somewhere, along with all these other transformers. The goal is to get it down to 5 volts, so it'll power the little Bluetooth receiver boards I also got from Amazon for other projects. Just buy them like packs of 5, and they work really well. I used them in my cordless headphones. One of my first videos. Check that out. But a little like 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch board. I'm thinking probably right here with the little antenna grid on the board facing out, so it just gets better reception. You can put it here, but then the power may interfere with the regular antenna. I'm not too sure, but you don't have that much space here anyway. Along this power supply here, now it's gonna get too hot. Can't even get down there. There's your best option. I mean, you might have some heat coming out of this. I think this is the power regulator for the battery charger. So it may get a little heat, but you're flush up against it. It should be okay. And then the output is going to go into here. This is your auxiliary input that was going to the jack on the front of the board. The little Bluetooth board I have, in addition to the 1/8 inch stereo jack, it has 3 solder points for the ground, left positive, and right positive. We'll just solder some pins on there, and some jumper wires with pins on them, and just plug them in, and we should be good to go. And here's a little demonstration on how I get the hardware cleaned up after its vinegar bath. Just if I can get my fat fingers around one of the little screws, kind of just put in here, gently squeeze onto it. You don't want to damage the threads. Get you some I use the maroon or dark red Scotch-Brite pads. A little bit more rough. It'll knock off surface rust a little bit better. You just, not full blast, but a little bit. And that's it. It gets all the surface rust off, most of it. Yeah. So, and it will take some of the paint off, but you just repeat this process a whole bunch of times until you get them all done. So I'll speed up. Enjoy. Okay, these are all done. These are the screws for the speaker grills, and I think the sides and the back. The sides and the back, I'm going to paint those black, but I think for the speaker grills, because they're all black, I might, I'm sorry, I keep hitting this tripod. Stupid thing. I might paint them yellow just to kind of do a, I don't know, make them pop a little bit. Who knows? Maybe interesting. And if not, I just take them back out, repaint them black. But I think I might go with the yellow. So I just have to find a suitable spray paint match for the Dewalt yellow, like safety orange. It almost looks, I think Krylon or Rust-Oleum had one. It was like sunshine yellow. That was almost a dead on perfect match for the Pac-Man cabinets made by Midway. I had to restore one time, and it was a dead on match. So if I could find that, if they still make I think it's sunrise, it was sun something yellow, and it was either Rust-Oleum or Krylon. So that narrows it down a whole bit. But we'll see if we can find something like that, or just go to the hardware store, grab a whole bunch of different cans of yellow, and go to the power tools section and put it up next to the drills and see which works best. That's probably the way I'm going to go. Anyway, be back in a bit. All of the hardware cleaned up nicely. Came out really nice. After it's nice soak in the vinegar jacuzzi, I hit with a Scotch-Brite pad to remove any of the excess rust, and I just hit it with the same Rust-Oleum gloss black, I guess, in not industrial grade, but a professional grade in a silver can they sell at Home Depot for like $1 more. Comes out a lot better, hardens up, and it'll run if you're not careful, but it does make a difference for that extra buck or two. So looks nice, almost as good as new, considering what it's going back in. This is a definite, improvement. Well, I've got everything wired up and actually tested. I have the old Bluetooth module here. I was gonna just solder each individual wire, your left positive, right positive, and ground right there. But I guess it was the wires I was using or something. They weren't sticking or adhering to the pads when I went to solder them, unless I dumped a whole lot of solder on there, and that would defeat the purpose if you went and shorted these little, pads together. So I just got a little headphone jack, a cable, and cut it off, hacked it, and spliced in some jumpers and plugged it right into the auxiliary input right here. Works just fine. Is the little power module down here. I have it tapped in right here to the 14 volt, knocks it down to 5, powers the little transformer just perfectly. And I love these connectors. I got these, I think, at Home Depot. These old snap-in kind of things. These are really great. And, I was going to just use them temporarily and then go back and solder everything. But after fighting with this little board right here, I've got enough space leaving them in. They work beautifully. So I'm going to do, because I don't have them soldered in, I can actually, cut these wires to length and then reattach them and be good to go. As far as speakers, I did not have any other ones, in my stash that were the size or the ohm requirements. And I looked online, and everything that I could find on like Amazon or Parts Express, they were a lot deeper. You had a bigger coil and a deeper cone. And while that would sound a lot better, I have a size, issue right here because it's so far back. Here's like the charging electronics and, well, I guess charging power supply or whatever it is right here. It sticks out quite a bit. So this is almost touching it when it's closed in. So I really can't go any thicker than this. These, they work. They sound okay for a job site radio. There's no real bass or, anything like that. It's a lot of mids and trebles. But when you're on a job site with a lot of noise going around you, you kind of want that to cut through all that so you can hear your music. So, for what it is, it's good. I'm noticing a lot of plastic is breaking off as I'm trying to, you know, you can see right there, as I'm trying to fit everything. So I don't know if it's just a flaw in the plastic. It's just, you know, wearing out with age. Who knows? But I want to get this thing back together as soon as I can before any more breaks off. So we're going to mount this probably right here. Power supply down here by one of the transformers and power supply. And shorten these up, make them look pretty. Close it up and move on to the antenna. So I have a couple of things about that one. Everything is mounted, Bluetooth, transformer, and I've got my cable management in place. So it's about as good as it's going to get. I mean, it isn't any worse than it was before. It was kind of, you know, like this before. So really not much more we could have done with this. So anyway, I'm going to get it back together. I'm really concerned about all of this plastic breaking. Maybe when it's back together, especially underneath where all this damage is. You can see where this part broke off. Um, and this little trim piece. When it's all back together, maybe I'll go through and just put a bead of hot glue underneath it just to kind of secure it down where, you know, you won't see it. And being hot glue, you could always kind of peel it off if you ever had to get back into this thing. So yeah, let's get it back together and fire it up and give it a final test. And we move on to the antenna. Everything's back together and it looks a little bit better. I mean, there's only so much we could have cleaned off with all the stain and overspray without really getting some chemicals and heavy duty scrubbers involved. But as we've seen underneath and on the back, this plastic is not long for this earth. It's better when it's kind of sealed up together, a little bit more durable. But I really wouldn't trust this to be a tough job site radio anymore, just given the age of the plastic. You'll notice the antenna. I used some yellow heat shrink and different sizes of it just to kind of stagger the tip of it so it just doesn't, you know, fold up flat on one end. And it does the job okay. I mean, the radio station I was using as a reference, my little oldie station, New Orleans, it's kind of low power compared to the other big, you know, clear channel and other iHeartRadio powerhouses. So if I can pick it up inside, I know it's doing a decent job. So as you can see right here, it is picking up the stereo signal right now. We might get a copyright strike, but I found something a little bit more, a better antenna. Now, you know, this is nice, short, practical. But what if I told you that if you have this on a job site, odds are you already have another antenna and it's one that's totally adjustable and tunable? Bam. This is just a plain old tape measure. Now, I think the ideal like length, well, half wavelength for FM is like 50 something inches, like 56 or 57 inches, which is going to be way too tall to, you know, extract this little guy out and have it stand on end. But you go quarter length of that and you got about 30 inches. So what I did was just kind of take my Dremel tool and kind of rub off the paint on the back of this whole tape measure. I'm going to put this right here. And actually, you know, oops, that's going to look good. Basically, the thread for the antenna is a 10/32 bolt thread. So I made this just out of a 3/4 inch long 10/32 bolt, some washers, and an angle bracket. And just kind of screw that in right there. Let's see if I can get a little bit better focused in. Zoom in for you. And you just get a little alligator clip jumper here. We're going to clip one end on the bracket and one end on the exposed part of the tape measure. Now, I know it's way better to have a specifically cut length because what's happening is we still have a coil of about 20 feet of metal wire on the back here on this bottom end, still in the tape measure. So that's going to affect the performance a little bit, but overall, we've got ourselves a nice high gain antenna here. Let me back out so you can kind of see a little bit. I mean, it's goes up 30 inches, so it might not catch it all, but the difference is incredible, because earlier when I had just a little whip, there was a lot of background noise, and I, being inside, it would struggle to catch the stereo signal. Now there is no problem catching it, and there's hardly any background noise or static, in the when it between songs, or you have dead air. You're going to have a little, but not nearly as much as it was. So yeah, the tape measure is surprisingly a good quick fix, especially if you break the whip antenna. 10-30 second screw, angle bracket, alligator clip, old tape measure at about 30 inches up. You are good to go. And with that, I'm going to stick a fork in this project. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching and sticking it out to the end, and liking and commenting and things like that. It really means a lot to me. So anyway, yeah, I just want to apologize for not getting more videos out. Like I said, it's busy time of year for me work-wise, and it's just getting harder to find good electronics to work on and projects to rebuild. But that's pretty much going to do it for now. You guys take it easy.